this framework that our teams are agreeing on today.
Uganda and Somalia have adopted a memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation.
They need checkups by experts, so we don't have enough experts for them.
Also tonight, with the number of people suffering from sickle cell disease rising in Uganda, medical professionals are finding solutions to address the problem. And in sports, Uganda Cranes players continue to prepare for CHAN qualifiers on August 27th in their first leg game against Tanzania. It is the 6th day of August 2022. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is PM Edition on CTV. I'm Kalachi Brian. On sign language interpretation is Isaac Richards. Now, after the devastating floods that killed 29 people and destroyed property worth billions of shillings, the business owners and residents are counting their losses with no viable hope in sight. Among the prominent business empires that are licking wounds is the Sino Uganda Mbale Industrial Park, whose industrial complex was heavily damaged by the raging flood waters. We have more.
After almost a week since the flood swept through the factory, workers are still draining the complex and cleaning it. Paul Zhang, the Chinese owner of the complex, says he is not yet composed to compute the value of what was lost and damaged. He says nobody knows when the damaged equipment will be repaired or replaced to resume work. In a Thursday meeting with the managers of the factory, the leader of opposition in parliament, Matthias Mpuga, called out on the government for approving the construction of the park in a wetland and the leaders who use funds meant for relief for their own personal gains.
The immense support from the Prime Minister of 1.2 million. I thought initially it was US dollars. That the OPM sent $1.2 million, but I was advised that 1.2 Uganda million shillings. Yes.
Houses, schools, roads, bridges, and crops were also destroyed and washed away, leaving residents homeless and hungry. They need food, water, shelter, and healthcare. They want government to intervene to avert the outbreak of waterborne diseases because most water sources are contaminated.
Facilitated, let it come out clearly and solicit for funds from whatever development partners, because these people need immediate attention.
Not even any gadget, not even food, not even seeds, nothing we have received.
What do you expect from the government?
We expect the government to come up and at least help us during this time where people have been displaced and they are nowhere to settle. At this time, people, you see, they are now homeless.
Few days after the mayhem, government delivered relief to victims who, however, say it was a drop in an ocean. Prime Minister Robin Anabanja visited the area and promised that government would deliver more relief to the victims. Hope Nyongereza, CTV, PM Edition.
Now, Uganda and Somalia have adopted a memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation. The memorandum was an outcome of a 2-day meeting by the respective technical working groups of the two countries at the Speak Commonwealth Resort in Munyonyo, Kampala.
Ugandan Defense and Veteran Affairs Vincent Sempija said the memorandum is in the spirit of strengthening the relationship between the two countries in order to enhance and foster economic transformation.
That our teams are agreeing on today remains we really need to appeal to each other.
He said Uganda and Somalia have come a long way from colonial exploitative systems that divided their people.
The government of Somalia and the President Yoweri Museveni of the Republic of Uganda, who, in the spirit of strengthening cooperation between our countries, have initiated renewed efforts for a close cooperation to enhance not only the defense and security cooperation between our two sister countries.
Sempija said Uganda and Somalia should detect, oppose, and negate the external interests that seek to divide the sister countries, because no one can afford to wish away the hard-earned successes and achievements of the sons and daughters from the Somali Armed Forces and UPDF.
We don't want to see any slide back. So what we are doing here is creating another momentum, make sure that we don't go back. So we indeed believe this to be the highest cause of our continued unity and togetherness, which should never be jeopardized by any selfish external interests.
Abdul Kadir Mohamed Nur, on behalf of Somalia, appreciated Uganda's contribution to pacify Somalia.
Of his blood, and we will always remember and forever be thankful to you, the people of this great nation, your leadership, especially for your President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for your sacrifices to have a peaceful Somalia. Al-Shabaab not only threaten Somalia's security, but endanger our region. We need your support today to eradicate Al-Shabaab as you have previously stood by us in our fight against them.
This event was preceded by the meeting of the military chiefs of the two countries, who met earlier to review and endorse the report on the amendments of the draft Memorandum of Understanding, which was prepared by the technical working teams of the two countries. According to officials, the draft MOU on defense cooperation between the two countries has been in existence since 2018, but had never been concluded. Hope Nyongereza, CTV, PM edition.
Moving on, medical doctors have advised border riders to seek medical attention in Gazette hospitals in case they are involved in road accidents. The Publicity Secretary of the Association of Surgeons of Uganda, Dr. Victor Chigonya, says some border riders who get involved in road accidents have a tendency of staying away from hospitals, which is dangerous to their lives. We have more.
Given Uganda's undeveloped public transport system, border transport is the swift and quickest means of transport many Ugandans use across the country. Many prefer these motorcycles due to ability to beat traffic jam and accessing remote areas that have poor roads. This has seen many riders fail to follow traffic rules, like riding on the wrong lane, riding on road shoulders, pedestrian walks, building verandas, overspeeding, among others, which often lead to accidents.
Tubadde tutya mu ddwaliro lwa nsonga nti bw'oba ogenze mu ddwaliro ng'ofunye accident tuba tulina ekintu kiri kimu nga kye tulina mu birowoozo batugamba batemako amagulu kasaba olya nti ofunye accident ng'ogenze Mulago.
Kuba abamu bagamba nti owa boodabooda omuteerako emmere mumaze mulaba ng'akomyewo bakyala baffe batugamba naye nga kituwa encukwe mu mutima ne tutya buli lw'oyingire kubona omanya nti ogenda kumenyeka ogenda kufa.
It's against this background that the doctors under the Association of Surgeons of Uganda have organized a specialized training with the selected riders. These have been trained in several accident response and rescue measures like first aid.
Actually, we are all victims. We all use motorcycles once in a while, or we are all passing by them, we are sharing roads with them. So we are all victims. So we decided to come on board as the Association of Surgeons of Uganda to help the motorists know the dangers and the consequences of their reckless driving.
The doctors have denied accusations that they ampute legs of border accident victims without a second thought. Dr. Michael Setabi, a surgeon at Mulago Hospital, says it's always the decision of the patient to have their legs amputated.
Every patient is considered individually and not the profession they have. So we assess you and we find out the reasons as to why the limb can no longer be useful. It could be a nuisance, debilitated limb that needs to be removed, okay? And no limb can be removed without explaining clearly to the patient and getting consent from the patient. Some patients refuse to have their limbs removed, so we give them time until they understand. As probably the limb is rotting away, they'll understand why we are telling them that we can no longer save the limb.
The training is meant to counter the ever-increasing road accidents, especially involving border riders. Dr. Chigonya says each individual has a role to play.
We have shared with them some statistics concerning road use and motorcycle riding, and the person from emergency medicine actually gave them some tips on how to do first aid, how to stop bleeding, what to do in case an accident happens on the road. He has helped them know what to do, how to transport the patient, where the patient must go.
The training has been under the theme Naja kukola sikufa, literally meaning I came to work not to die.
Well, the struggle against the sickle cell disease is being found. Some solutions are being found, and we shall find out more after the break. Keep it CTV. language interpretation. Now, the sickle cell disease is the most common monogenetic blood disorder worldwide, associated with progressive tissue and organ damage, anemia, and painful disorders if left untreated. With the number of people suffering from sickle cell disease rising in Uganda, solutions are being found to address the issue. We have more.
While conducting a training on the disease at the Biomedicus International Laboratories, Dr. Joreva, a specialist in blood marrow transplant, highlighted the need to initiate treatment programs in the country. This increased attention is geared to reducing sickle cell-related deaths while increasing care and management outcomes.
Other things which were very high on agenda were how to streamline the pre- and post-transplant care services, because after the patient has come back for transplant, we can't just leave them, okay, because the job is just half done, all right? So how to streamline those processes, those investigations, that clinical assessment.
Before Ugandans had to seek medical treatments abroad, government officials say efforts are in place to address the disease burden by introducing care centers in the country.
It has worked to identify proper care centers, starting with the Mulago National Referral Hospital, that has been running probably the largest and oldest sickle cell care program. But the ministry has also helped in setup of other satellite sickle cell care programs.
However, with the treatment being expensive, only a few people can afford it, thereby leaving the majority unable to get treatment for the disease.
Of course, most people who go are able to afford. It's very expensive to do a bone marrow transplant. It can even cost as much as 300 million to do a bone marrow. So it's only those who are able. That means only those who are able to get this bone marrow transplant. But also we know people tend to go late.
The government calls upon people diagnosed with sickle cell disease to seek medical treatment early, adding that people below 13 years stand a higher chance of recovery.
Those people who have a high risk for complications, we need to pick them very early, and we prioritize them for this kind of technology. But also there are new technologies coming, and we're working at the JCRC, with government, with the JCRC, because you can do a bone marrow transplant where you put a new material in your body.
It's less than 13 years. Nowadays we say that the sooner we recognize that yes, any child who's suffering from sickle cell disease and is having quite significant complications, the sooner we consider that patient up for transplant, the better it is.
With the establishment of a number of sickle cell disease treatment centers in the country, this is a major step towards eliminating the disease in Uganda. Absolom Wangoru for CTV PM edition.
Well, the official launch of Tembele, an award-winning film that was awarded by the Uganda Film Festival in May 2022, is around the corner. The festival was organized by the Uganda Communication Commission. Maurice Mugisha, the film producer and director, is with us tonight in the studio. Maurice, welcome to PM Edition.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about Tembele.
Tembele is a very beautiful piece. It was awesomely shot, and it's a story that delves deep into the mental, psych issues to do with maternal health. And it's a story about a young man called Tembele who has a wife at home who is expecting. So he fights thick and thin through the dark streets of Kampala to find means of survival. But along the way, as he tries to get to hospital to save his wife, he loses the child instead. So it kind of plays with his mind. So basically, it's a film that shows the deeper, darker side of how a young man can struggle through the streets of Kampala. Yes, so basically that briefly.
I understand it won an award from the Uganda Film Festival last May.
Yes, yes.
Is there any other award or you yourself that you've won?
We actually won 3 awards. Overall Best Feature Film 2022, Best Performance, that's actor, then Best Supporting Actor.
Wow.
But also I've won other awards in another film called Stain that I did last year. It won an award in Africa Movie Academy Awards. Those are like the Oscars of Africa in Nigeria, Lagos. It has also won an award in Egypt in the Luxor Film Festival. Okay. So this year we're coming with Tembele, and we're coming huge.
When and where is the Tembele premiere?
Tembele premiere is tomorrow. It's going to be at the Goethe Zentrum, what you call the Uganda German Cultural Society. It's also the home of Alliance Francaise. It's located on 52 Bukoto Street. So the launch is happening at 5 p.m. It's going to be full of industry experts, experts in the industry, basically media people, some filmmakers, and some actually medical experts, because we are beautifully starting off with a dialogue about mental and maternal health.
Okay. What should we expect? Some highlights for that event?
Actually, I just mentioned it. We're going to have a dialogue. You know, they say everyone has been battling mental health, you know that?
True.
Right from, it's like a post-COVID kind of, So I chose that kind of topics because I knew the whole country or the whole world is actually battling the same. So the dialogue is going to be important. So it's going to go live. So maybe you could tune in, and those that are going to come, I can't wait to see you there.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Any
please.
big names apart from me that will be there?
Actually, in the film?
Yeah. At the premiere.
I know Apollo is going to be there.
Okay.
Baxter is going to be there.
Okay.
Patrick Kakalukanyi, the award winner, is going to be there.
Okay.
Yeah. Serugo Moses. I mean, big guys. There's going to be a lady, Dr. Farida, who is an expert in mental, and So it's going to be. We're going to have fun as well.
Okay.
As we're also going to learn much from.
Is it a free event or?
It's an invite. It's an invite only. So. Really, those that are lucky to have gotten the invites, please come and have fun.
I look forward to that. And
pleasure.
Those that will miss out, I'll tell them everything that happened.
Actually, we'll have a screening. We'll communicate the screenings in Akasha Mall this month.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Thank you very much, Maurice.
You're most
welcome.
welcome.
You for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Moving on, in the West African pro-junta group Mali has demanded that the departure of the peacemakers from the country by September and threatened to protest massively come September 22nd. Still in the region, voters in Senegal argue that Macky Sall has no chance at a third term in office, even if he manages to scrap the term limits. Have a look. Members of the civil society group close to the ruling military government have demanded that the UN mission in Mali, MINUSMA, leaves the country by September 22nd. At the Couches Palace in Bamako, supporters of the anti-French Yereworo de Boussa Lerapa or Yereworo Standing on the Rampants group pledged to take to the streets if the troops did not go. Cheikh Ballo, a supporter of the group, said on Friday that the terrorists in Mali was France, and when they chased France away, what remained was MINUSMA, which is run by the French. Many of the protesters wore blue bonnets to mock the UN peacekeepers in a move they called Operation Blue Bonnet against blue helmets. The head of the movement, Adama Ben Diarra, said he had already asked the UN to withdraw from Mali by September. Speaking to supporters, Adama urged them to get together and go out massively on 22nd September 2020 to liberate the country. Tensions between Mali and the UN have been running high in recent last months after Mali refused to authorize a UN mission deployed to investigate alleged human rights violations in the country. The Yereworo movement has backed the transitional president, Ko Assimi Goïta, and has organized several protests against France in the past. The West African country has had two coups since 2020, in which the military has vowed to do more to stop jihadi violence while demanding that French and European troops leave. After Senegalese President Macky Sall's ruling coalition lost its overall majority in last Sunday's election, people are assessing what it will mean for the country going forward. The president is Beno Bokk-Yakaar coalition, who won 82 of the National Assembly's 165 seats. It was a sharp drop from the 125 it won in 2017 and just one seat short of an overall majority. Voters are asking whether to halt Sall's ambitions to break the two-term constitutional limit, which would allow him to seek re-election in 2024. A resident, Pape Diabe, said that, given the trends of the local and legislative elections, he does not think President Macky Sall would dare go for a third term. Diabe said a third term will not be accepted in Senegal. Even if he strives for a third term, he'll be beaten in the elections. Another voter, Ali Gom, said he believed the polls sent a powerful message. Gom says it is not bad at all because the Senegalese voted mostly for the Yewi-Walu coalition, which means that it's a strong signal to the party in power, the Beno Bokk-Yakaar coalition. It is the first time in over 60 years that a ruling party in Senegal has lost an absolute majority. Former Prime Minister Aminata Touré said the coalition would continue to pursue the reforms it believes are essential for the country. Canada has announced a ban on import of handguns until the passage of gun control law. On hearing this, the Canadians rushed to gun stores to purchase the remaining guns. In Asia, China has maintained its military drills, with the latest updates confirming that Chinese missiles flew over Taiwan, with fighter jets crossing the median line. We have more.
What I just said in English is that one of the...
In a move designed to indirectly achieve the goals of a gun control legislation proposed in May, Canada has announced it will ban the importation of handguns beginning August 19th. Announcing the move on Friday, Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino told a press briefing that such guns have one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to kill people. After the freeze was announced, Canadians rushed to buy guns as the government now wants to prevent gun sellers from restocking their inventory with this import ban. According to Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, the import ban will help to keep guns stay off Canadian streets as the government works towards implementing Bill C-21, reducing gun violence in the immediate term. Pointing to the smuggling of guns from the neighboring United States as the real problem, experts remain skeptical about the effectiveness of gun control measures taken by Ottawa. Following the interception of gun parts from 2 locations in British Columbia, the Canada Border Services agents highlighted that ghost guns pose a serious risk as they are difficult to trace when used by criminals and are becoming easier to manufacture. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau unveiled a proposed national handgun ownership freeze in May after high-profile mass shootings in Texas and New York. In comparison to the United States, Canada has much stricter gun laws, and restricted or prohibited firearms also need to be registered in the country. Data from Statistics Canada shows that the country's gun homicide rate was a fraction of the rate in the United States in 2020. Between 2009 and 2020, handguns were the main weapon used in the majority of firearm-related violent crimes, as per official data. As China halted cooperation with the United States over key issues including climate change over U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, Chinese missiles flew over Taiwan on the second day of the military drills as tensions mounted in the region. The Chinese military has been conducting military drills using ballistic missiles and warplanes for the past 2 days in the Taiwan Straits in retaliation against Pelosi's visit. Although both Taiwan and China did not confirm missiles flew over Taipei, however, Japan said it had detected at least 4 missiles that it believed crossed over the island nation. The Chinese military encircled Taiwan during the drills, firing missiles and flying warplanes as it used destroyers in the Taiwan Strait, even as neighboring Japan criticized the communist nation's latest military maneuvers. Japan said the missiles had landed in its exclusive economic zone during the 2-day drill. The latest war drills by China are expected to continue until Sunday. Meanwhile, the Biden administration continued its criticism over the drills as National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said the Xi regime can end tensions by stopping provocative military exercises and ending rhetoric. The United States summoned China's ambassador to Washington over the drills as relations between the 2 countries continued to go downhill. Amid tensions in the region, Taiwanese Defense Ministry announced that at least 68 Chinese warplanes and 13 warships crossed the median line that runs through the Taiwan Strait on Friday. China has been conducting the drills just a few miles off Taiwan. The international wrap takes us for a short break. Up next is sports.
The Commonwealth Update, brought to you by Ababate.
Welcome back to PM Edition. In our sports news, athletes Jacob Kiplimo and Halima Nakai could add to the medal collection for Uganda today. Kiplimo, who has already won in the 10,000 meters, will compete in the 5,000 meters race, while former world champion Nakai is eyeing the 800 meter race. Well, Clive Chase is in Birmingham and has the latest.
Well, Brian, good evening, and thank you for having me. I must say you're looking very smart and sharp, and congratulations on the Arsenal win yesterday. Your season has started very bright. But in exactly 11 minutes from now, Halima Nakai will be competing in the 800 meters final, and that can only mean one thing, that there's gold, silver, and bronze for grabs. If she can finish in the top 3, then she will add on Uganda's medal tally, which is already standing at 4. And exactly after that, of course, at about 10 minutes past 10 p.m., Jacob Kiplimo will be racing in the 10,000 meters final. He has already won gold in the 10,000 meters. I beg your pardon, he'll be racing in the 5,000 meters final. He has already won gold in the 10,000 meters final, and he would want to do a double. And that will make him the third man in history, or the third Ugandan in history, alongside Joshua Cheptegei, who did the double 4 years ago, and of course Moses Kipsiro, who did that double in New Delhi. That was in 2010. So we're waiting to see how those two runners will perform. But of course, we just had our badminton team that does involve Brian Cassidy together with Daniel Wanangalia losing in that men's double. The quarterfinal, they had an opportunity to qualify for the semifinals and get into the middle bracket. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now, coming up is Husna Kobgabe together with Fadila Shamika. They will also be competing in the women's doubles against that player from Northern Ireland. If they can win that one, then they will be finding themselves into the middle bracket. It's not the same story in squash. Of course, the men's quarterfinal players that had Kawoya together with Kadoma. They were knocked out in that one, just like Teddy Nachimuri, the only female boxer, or the first female boxer in history to present under the Commonwealth Games. She lost her semi-final bout against an opponent from Maryland, meaning that she does settle for bronze. She had an opportunity to qualify for the finals, fight for gold or silver, but that won't be happening. And as it's standing at the moment, Uganda already has 4 medals, 2 bronze medals. Of course, the other bronze medal won by Peru yesterday in the 2,000 meters steeplechase. If she did fall 600 meters to the finish line, maybe it would have been a totally different story. She had a chance to fight for gold or even silver, but that knock on her knee just saw her brave to a third place finisher for her to get that bronze medal. Of course, the 2 gold medals, Jacob Kiplimo together with Victor Langat in the marathon. And we're waiting to see if by the end of today, we would have added to that medal tally, or we'll wait for tomorrow, where we still have other runners running for medals to see how far Uganda will go at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Back to you, Brian, in studio.
The Commonwealth Update, brought to you by Ababate.
Thank you, Clive Chaze. Now, Uganda Cranes players continue preparing for CHAN qualifiers on August 27th in their first leg game against Tanzania. The Cranes visit Tanzania, and the winner of the leg will book a ticket to the next year's CHAN Championship in Algeria.
Uganda Cranes head coach Milutin Stredojevic, also known as Micho, continues to take Uganda Cranes CHAN players through their paces as the team prepares for a 2-leg encounter with Tanzania. The winner on aggregate will qualify for the CHAN tournament in January next year in Algeria. Micho is confident that his side will be ready for Tanzania, with the team now working on getting the physical fitness right.
Because we could see that legs are still heavy in a way, we could still see that we have done tactical aspect, but point was almost on physical fitness.
Uganda Cranes had a practice match yesterday against Kampala Province at the Kabaka Chabagu Stadium. The game ended 1-1 with Rogers Mato scoring for the national team, while Martin Chiza got the equalizer for Kampala Province. Micho commends his players' level of commitment shown against the Kampala Province side.
Very satisfied with the level of commitment. It has been a tough competitive game. And in tough competitive game, you can only benefit. One match has value of 5 training sessions because it gives you a situational answer how players could behave in a competitive environment.
Mitchell explains what he expects his team to do when they face Tanzania.
To attack by defending and defend by attacking. Is meaning we need to have much better that first line of defense up front to make the field smaller, to play for the team in order that everyone's quality comes to the...
Uganda will play Tanzania away on the 27th of August before the return leg at St. Mary's Stadium Chitende on the 3rd of September, with the winner qualifying for the 2023 CHAN tournament in Algeria. Uganda Cranes have managed to qualify for the CHAN Championships on 5 occasions, but they have never gone beyond the group stages. Noah Walakira, CTV, PM Edition.
My favorite author, Dale Carnegie, once said, you can make 100 friends more by being interested in people. You can make 100 friends in a day than you'd make in a year by making people interested in you. What does that mean? When you're having a conversation with people, try to listen. Don't just talk and make it about you. Don't make it about you only. Listen and listen, don't just talk and talk. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Richams. We wish you a good night.